Indiana, Mackenzie Mgbako. We talked briefly about that. That's a game changer for Indiana, and I don't know the difference that it makes. Not, I'm sure it would make a difference for Kansas, obviously, but they're not even close to this to what the difference that it matters to Indiana versus Kansas. Kansas is already a probable favorite to win the championship now without him, and they probably weren't far off before they got Hunter Dickinson.
Right.
I don't know if he's going to look at that as, boy, I can go there and win the title, or there's a lot of guys there. I can go to Indiana and maybe make a run for the title, because if they land him and they get one other piece, I'm good with thinking they should be able to be way more successful than last season.
Yeah, I mean, nobody knows what the number one motivating factor will be for this young man to make his decision. Is it winning a championship? Is it how much NIL money can I make? Is it how much playing time am I going to get? Is it going to be which coach can get me to the league in 1 year? I don't know, but I will say that hats off to Mike Woodson and Yasir Rosemond and Kenya Hunter and Brian Walsh and Jordan Hulls and Adam Howard for getting Indiana in the race. Because when this kid first decommitted from Duke, I never heard anything about Indiana. Initially, it was like the G League or Louisville, and then it was like the G League, Louisville, or North Carolina, and then all of a sudden it was like, then I heard St. John's was involved because of Rick Pitino, and then I heard Kansas was involved, and then to hear that Indiana is in the race and is in the final two, that's impressive. Now, I know in recruiting, whether you finish second or 88th, it doesn't matter. You still lost, but it's good to see Indiana get in the ring and slug it out with a heavyweight like Kansas. And they've lost some. I mean, I remember Tom Crean lost several guys to Kansas over the years. I don't know if there have been any other Archie or Woody at this point, but Kansas, recruits at a very high level, so it's going to be a tough thing to get them. But I think the fact that visiting Indiana, they decided not to go to Louisville, says Indiana made some kind of impression on him.
Yeah, absolutely. And like it said, I think that looking at Louisville, he's thinking that he wants to win now. I don't think Louisville wins now next year. And by now, I mean big. They're not going to be, shoot. I don't think, but who knows? Hell, they've been getting a lot of visits, a lot of guys coming there. But you're not going to compare a Louisville to a Kansas. Maybe you might to an Indiana, but I wouldn't understand that quite either. So, and Indiana needs him desperately. I don't know what, from an NIL perspective, how that plays in, how that works, because I know the coaches are not allowed to say certain things,
right.
But I guarantee you, we all know that there's back channeling. There has to be. You got to get, they ask the questions, and you probably have to get them the answers in some way, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious it's important to a lot of guys, because I've read in the aftermath of the Hunter Dickinson commitment from Michigan to Kansas, I think I read a story last night where Dickinson was grumbling about how little NIL money there was at Michigan. And then I've also read some pieces where Kentucky indicated, somebody who covers Kentucky indicated that the NIL opportunity at Kansas was much greater for Dickinson than it was at Kentucky, which is surprising. But, Kansas has gotten 5-star players for a long, long time under Bill Self. They know how to get the job done, whether it was Cliff Alexander or I'm at a loss for some of the players they've had, but Andrew Wiggins is another big one. What was the dude that stayed there for a million years? Perry Ellis.
Oh yeah, started a clothing line, didn't he?
Mario Chalmers, on and on and on. So yeah, they've known. They were in the sweepstakes. They were finalists for Zion Williamson. They know what they're doing there.
And I also think it's huge because of the following year. The following year is the decision for Flory Badunga, who is also another. He's a game changer. He's a
Right.
guy that's going to be an impact player, and getting not only a guy like this, but a team like this. Indiana needs to be winning, I think, and because this team is not going to be the same a year from now when we're talking. This team will not be the same. Besides the seniors, there's going to be somebody that leaves. There always will be. I cannot imagine a year ever now that someone does not leave the program. So this is going to be an every year thing. Hopefully, it's not the upper end players that you're having to do this, but it will be. Look at Louisville or Kentucky, Duke, Kansas. They're all having to do this, and Kansas just won a national championship, and they're doing it more so than anybody. Which
Right.
I would have thought it would have been Calipari and Kentucky leading the way, which it's not that they've done bad, but and is Sheboygan coming back?
That seems to be which way the wind is blowing right now. Yeah, that he will come back, but I guess he's going to go through the NBA draft camp and then make his decision, and that's next week up in Chicago. So we'll know more then. But with Dickinson leaving, I think that would give Kentucky more urgency to make sure that Oscar Sheboy comes back. And if he doesn't come back, I mean, they've got some guys at the center position. They're just not proven.
Yeah, it's going to be fun for this decision. I think that one will come soon. And then Indiana still needs to fill the other. They'll have one spot left if they are able to get a commitment from Mgbako, a shooting guard. Mgbako can shoot, but they need another scorer, a number two. They need someone to start. In my opinion, they need someone to start at the two position over Trey Galloway. And it's not that I don't like Trey Galloway or think he's a good player. He's not a great player. He's not an elite player. And if you want to be elite, if you want a chocolate cake,
I mean, to be elite, you have to be a better scorer than he is. He's just can't shoot the ball and score the ball to be an elite player. I mean, I agree with you. I think he's a better player off the bench because he can come in and he brings energy. He brings defensive intensity. He shares the ball. He understands the system. He'd be a really good sixth or seventh man. But I agree with you as a starting guard, and unless he shows that he can, consistently make 12, 15, 18-foot jump shots, he's not. You can play him, you can win with him, but you can't win at the very top level with him as a starting two guard. That's what you're saying, right? I mean, you can make the tournament, but you're not going to win 4, 5, 6 games in the tournament with him at the two guard because the really good teams will find a way. They'll clamp down on other people and say, "Let's see you beat us, Trey." And he might do it occasionally. He had a great game against Michigan State last year, as did Tamar Bates. But to do it consistently, he's not a consistent offensive threat where teams fear him on a nightly basis.
No, and when you're that far in, this far in, you need to be what I think that he is, a complementary piece. He's someone good to come in and spell for minutes that you have complete confidence in, and that is great to have. But they've got to have somebody in front of him if they want to be what I know the fans want.